Well, let's face it, that age I would have spent it playing video games, but maybe I would have been inclined to develop my interests outside of that when I was young. Alright, today I wanted to talk about this article I found called Why More Adults Are Reassessing Their Childhood Religion by Danielle Campo Amor, fact checked by Sarah Scott. For those of you who only recently joined the channel or haven't seen much of my other content, I've done two videos about my experience with religion. One was about why I stopped going to church, and the other was a follow-up to explain my reasoning a little better. Because up until my manufacturing jobs video, it was one of the highest performers. So yeah, I thought I'd ext- I thought I'd expand upon it and talk about this article that I'm going to read and react to. But before I do that, give this video a like, subscribe for daily videos, and comment what you think as we go. I'm not trying to diss anyone who still goes to church or for whatever reason. It's your decision, and I respect you for doing what works for you. Anyway, let's find out why more adults are reassessing their childhood religion. Some are switching, others are leaving. So the key takeaways are right at the start. Pew Research Center reflects the ways in which people are leaving childhood religions behind as they move through adulthood. Some might convert, others might abandon religion entirely. And according to religious experts, there are many reasons some might want to leave that aren't always simple or straightforward. In my case, I just realized I was just taking up space, and that could have gone to someone who genuinely wanted to be there and would get something out of it. Amy Benson was 18 years old when she left the Mormon church. My parents now said that once I was 18, it was my choice, which I was grateful for, Benson, now 38, tells parents. I mostly wanted out because I saw a lot of hypocrisy. I also never felt like I fit in there. I had a couple close friends, but mostly felt like an outsider. I did not feel too dissimilar with Catholic Church. Yeah, my parents were also like, when you're 18, it's your choice. Though it took me an extra 4 years to finally make the choice to stop going. I wouldn't say that I saw a lot of hypocrisy, but I would say I didn't feel like I fit in there, mostly because it was majority old people. That's not to say that old people are bad, but at a certain point, like Mr. Miyagi said, something about how B needs. I'm just gonna look it up. Mr. Miyagi honey scene. All right, while I look for that, I'm just gonna say that being the youngest person there, aside from the small children that the middle-aged couples brought, I guess felt a little weird. I was never really part of any church youth group, but then back when I was younger, I really didn't want to be involved in any of them. Like in eighth grade, I tried this different one because my friends said it was better. I regretted it. It was actually more annoying than the other one. It was it was more annoying than the one I'd already been going to because they were more focused on involvement and such. And it was a lot more livelier, which you'd think, oh, that sounds fun. Not for me. I just wanted to get in there, sit through whatever I had to, let my mind wander because I was too much of a good sport about the no taking out personal electronics rules. But I digress. Sorry, I'm trying to find the Mr. Miyagi quote. I'll play it for you when I find it. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to let it play in the background for me while I continue reading the article. As a child, Benson attended every Sunday, what she recalls as a 3 hour block that took up a good portion of the day. She also attended youth group meetings once a week and made annual camping trips in her home state of Alaska alongside other church members. Now, Sundays are for time spent with her husband, who also left the Mormon church as a teen, and her daughter, who she is choosing not to raise Mormon either. Deciding not to raise my daughter in religion was such an easy decision that didn't warrant a discussion, she explains. Her father and I both felt like organized religion is too patriarchal, judgmental, and strict. We want our daughter to be who she is with no restrictions, aside from being a decent human being. Yeah, a lot of it can come off as judgmental and strict. Actually, one of the priests at the time before I stopped going to Catholic church was a rather liberal guy, more in line with Pope Francis than the other more conservative popes. So yeah, I think you get the idea. But I guess I never really felt judged or like I was or anything like that. But with the more liberal priest, you know what? I can't find the Mr. Miyagi quote. I'm sorry. I've been playing this compilation. I heard it from the background, but that's gonna take too long. So let's just get back to the article before I completely derail my train of thought. I found it. Little update. I really want to show it, so let me just play it and then we'll discuss it.
To make honey, young bee need young flower, not old prune.
That's it. That's what I was trying to bring up. So, yeah, young bee needs young flower. I guess maybe, sure, the ideology stood the test of time for the most part. Like, I'm pretty sure we can all agree that the Ten Commandments are generally a good thing, or at least thou shalt not murder and thou shalt not steal. Yeah, George Carlin did a great bit about reducing the Ten Commandments down to a more workable list of two, which I've featured in a live stream before. I'm not going to play the whole thing here. Just look up George Carlin, Ten Commandments. You'll have a good laugh and you'll understand how, maybe this 2,000-year-old ideology needs a little bit of a refresher. But yeah, the point is, as Mr. Miyagi said, young bee need young flower, not old prune. I think that's why youth groups specifically exist. But to be perfectly honest, after you turn 18 and the majority of them walk away from it, yeah, good luck finding anyone under the age of, I'd say 35 or 40. Good luck finding anyone between the ages of 18 and 29 attending a church. Alright, back to the main video. Benson is far from alone. A recent study published by Pew Research Center found that many people are choosing to leave their childhood religions behind. The survey of nearly 80,000 people in 36 countries found that a fifth or more of all adults have left the religious group in which they were raised. Christianity and Buddhism have experienced the largest losses from what Pew refers to as, quote, religious switching, meaning people are choosing to join a different organized religion than what they were raised to believe, while a number of adults, like Benson, are disaffiliating, meaning they're choosing to have no religious affiliation at all. I'd have thought Buddhism might have had some more gains, but then again, in America, materialism and all that, yeah, I can kind of see how Buddhism and Western materialism would have a kind of a conflict of interest. It stands out to me because in the episode of The Simpsons where Lisa became a Buddhist, that was her whole point. Like me, I've been on the verge of just declaring myself a Buddhist so I could say, I have a religion. I follow Buddhism. Now let's talk about something else. But I'm just gonna leave it at that for now because mostly because matches my Air Nomad test results from the Avatar Studios quiz and the Jedi one to some extent. Like it was the closest I can get to being a real life Jedi. I don't think this study will come as much of a surprise to many religious leaders. Reverend Paul Eldredge, pastor at the Central Lutheran Church of the Holy Trinity in Seattle, Washington, says, we've seen the empty parish halls and Sunday school classrooms that were optimistically built at the height of Christendom in the United States. Why someone might leave their childhood religion. According to Pastor Eldred, many reasons can contribute to a person deciding to leave their childhood religion. A seeming incompatibility with one's worldview, teachings that are at odds with one's political persuasion, an inability to reconcile religious teachings with science, or feelings like religion isn't relevant in their daily lives are just some of those possible reasons, he explains. Me personally, I once trolled that religious teachings were at odds with science back when I was 16. Today, I think it's a little more hand in hand. Like, the astronomical precision of the habitable zone that I learned about from Undiscovered Worlds at the Museum of Science Planetarium. Like it has to be astronomically precise for life on Earth here to happen. Like if on the grand scale, Earth was a little too much closer, we'd all burn up. If a little too further away, we'd all freeze to death. See, that's why I believe in the Maker, the entity that appears to you as whoever you admire most. Oh, hey, I didn't quite just walk away from religion and move to a new one. I just made up my own. And the feeling of relevance in daily life, yeah, I don't know. On the one hand, church attendance is only weekly, not daily. And unless you're a priest or a pastor or something like that, it's probably not going to be something that comes up in your daily life. Or some teachings might hold you back from being able to do things you might do in your daily life. And to be consistent, to avoid cognitive dissonance, you just decide to just drop the religion and be like, yeah, I'm secular. I don't wait till marriage. A lot of religious people I've noticed still also don't wait till marriage. I'm not saying that it's right or wrong either way. Because me personally, ignoring all religion, I personally would rather wait until at least a committed relationship. Like, that's what I do. If you disagree with me, you let me know in the comments down below because committed relationship, religion or otherwise, at the very least, there's still some level of trust and mutual respect, if not knowledge of STDs or lack thereof. Nicole Kern, 44, left organized religion once she moved away from her Eastern Washington home at 18. Raised Lutheran, Kern attended church every week and was confirmed at 15. She says that while her experience with organized religion was better than some, it was her church's stance on the LGBTQ plus community that ultimately led her to questioning her faith. When I first learned that my church viewed homosexuality as a sin, I was a young teen and had an aunt who had recently come out as gay, she says, adding that she spoke to her pastor about her aunt, who couldn't outright disavow the harmful belief that her aunt would, quote, go to hell for being gay. Their words, not mine, YouTube. Other messages she heard at her church, such as, men are the head of the household and the wife must abide by her husband's rules, felt wrong on many levels to Kern. Ultimately, she felt unsure if I really belonged in that world anymore, and as a result, slowly started fading away from that group. I have not attended church since then, she adds. And that's her choice. If maybe instead of trying to reform an institution like that, at a certain point, you just have to decide to just walk away. How leaving a childhood religion can impact a person's family. One 2023 study published in the Journal for the Scientific Study of Religion found that when a person leaves their childhood religion, it can lead to a worse relationship with a person's parents over time, including an overall decrease in parental warmth towards their child. Maxine Fekete, 29, was raised by missionaries who first served as youth leaders in London until moving to Tennessee in the early 2000s. While Fakete's father was Southern Baptist and her mother Catholic, she was raised Presbyterian. While they stopped attending church as a family when her parents divorced when she was 13, she continued her faith journey at a non-denominational church until she was 17. I decided I was agnostic for a while, but I'd still talk to my dad about faith, Fakete tells me. He studied doctrine and was a fan of Martin Luther. He always said he was hoping I'd find my own way back to my faith, but I never did. I can firmly now, I can firmly say I'm an atheist now. Nicolette, 32, left her childhood religion at age 13 for a myriad of reasons, including its patriarchal teachings and discussions with religious leaders that made her feel somehow less than for coming from a so-called broken home after her parents divorced. A child care provider living in Oregon, Nicolette tells me that her mother, the only parent she has contact with, is, to some extent, disappointed that she doesn't believe in God or any organized religion. She begrudgingly accepts it, she tells me. Part of my family is very religious still, and I am definitely the black sheep to them. Pastor Eldred says that while conversations regarding your faith, lack thereof, or the decision to leave organized religion can be difficult, he hopes, quote, both sides can try to listen to one another, hear the reasons they feel the way they do, and find a way to move forward together, even if they don't agree. Yeah, at a certain point, you just have to accept that an adult is allowed to make their own decisions. And honestly, my experience being raised Catholic and not particularly liking having to go to Sunday school, then religious ed on Wednesday nights. Honestly, I would rather none of that or the any sort of ceremony be anything you worry about until the person is 18 and they are given a choice. Either you get baptized or whatever, or not. Like me, I would personally have not chosen to do any of the religious education or the confirmation. I put up as much of a hassle about as I could until I eventually accepted it and I just basically did it for show. So basically, I was just put on a show. I didn't actually believe or actually care about it. I just wore the least formal outfit I could get away with wearing at the confirmation ceremony, did as little as possible, and exited the building as soon as I was allowed to. Meaning I would wait until, meaning the second my parents said I was okay to do that. I forbade pictures and videos because I did not want that, and I forbade any party, not just because of my anti-alcohol rules, but because I didn't want to do any of this in the first place. The only real souvenirs that I had was $120 in confirmation money that I got from confirmation cards, which, I mean, I do like getting new video games and such, so I accepted those. Looking back, for the sake of consistency, I almost wish I'd sent it back and been like, no, I didn't want anything to do with this. This is not enough. this does not make up for the time that you took away from me that I could have spent. Well, let's face it, that age I would have spent it playing video games, but maybe I would have been inclined to develop my interests outside of that when I was young, like the astronomer in Majora's Mask says to do. That's just me. Honestly, my mental gymnastics for keeping the checks and the one of the cards had a $20. The reason I decided to keep them, the confirmation gift money, was because I was like, may as well get what I can. I mean, hey, it's how I got the eShop credit to get The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Seasons and Oracle of Ages for my 3DS, so that was a win. How to talk to your family about leaving your religion. It can be difficult to broach the subject of religion in any setting, but particularly among devout family members, Pastor Eldred advises everyone to remember that it is, quote, perfectly normal to question your faith. In fact, I would say it's necessary to question in order to develop a more mature faith, he tells me, adding that experiencing a traumatic event can also cause someone to question their faith, and in those situations, it's especially understandable. Mental health experts at Austin Family Counseling in Austin, Texas, suggest those who are attempting to discuss religious differences. God, this article is full of typos. You see them too, right? Parents Magazine, you need a new editor. Okay, so according to Austin Family Counseling in Austin, Texas, pick an appropriate time and place. Be honest. Affirm your family members' beliefs. Listen and engage. Focus on shared beliefs and common threads. Set boundaries. Be prepared to have more than one conversation. I promise you that you are not the first person to have these questions. In fact, many clergy have probably grappled with them themselves, Pastor Eldred adds. Sometimes there can be a sense of shame or even pain in asking those questions, and that's okay too. But it's by questioning and exploring that you can discover the richness and beauty in faith that may be the balm you have been searching for all along. So I guess by questioning it, you come to a deeper understanding, or looking into the nittier, grittier details about what is metaphor, what is objective reality, as well as how to reconcile the what's the best way to describe this? Describe the as well as the best way to reconcile the disagreement with the LGBT community with not being cruel towards that group, people of that group, or just accepting that this ideology does not agree with my mentality, therefore, I'm not part of the organization. And that's kind of how it is for me. I am not personally part of the organization, but I do take bits and pieces of it to form my own opinion. So, for example, I take a little bit of Catholicism, a little bit of Buddhism, and a little bit of all other ones, then merge them together into an ideology I've considered calling Henryology. You know, maybe parts of Scientology, like Dianetics, might not be a bad thing. Not the not the whole process that they use to indoctrinate people, but the general idea that you can be more than something, self-improvement. But I digress. So I think on that note, I'm going to leave it here for the video. You comment down below whether you still go to whatever religious institution you attend or not, why you do or don't. And if you want to call me a heretic, go ahead. Also, let me know in the comments if you mentally checked out of the whatever religion you were raised in, like I did, but just went along with it for show. Give this video a like, subscribe for daily videos, and I'll see you soon.